regards my presentation, we have to move the blindness of the children to another age, which there are those times they start to have problems with reading and solve the cataract problem. It's a kind of controversy, really, to see the previous speech and my speech, with moving to something which is, let's say, more basic and primitive to something which is very high modern and not probably necessarily the first priority and necessity in the countries in the third world. But I feel that India, ophthalmology is the whole world, because it's a country you just find everything for the very, very, let's say, important issues related with the blindness in childhood, going to the very high tech technology, and many Indian doctors, they are worldwide very famous for this achievement. So my speech today is about the WRL clinical results. This is a lens which has been designed to mimic the normal human lens. I don't have any financial interest of this material. So the way to see the natural properties of the human lens here, and you see the properties of this RL, which, as I said, is mimic the normal lens. Everything looks to be very similar. The only difference here that here we're using hydrogel. They simply have a normal collagen fibers, but they have the same properties. If you go around down here, I mean the water content is close to the same one. The index is precisely the one which is of the normal lens. The surface they are behaving like the normal human lens. That means they are resistant to protein absorptions and cell attachment, which is very important. The optical system has a glare-free optics with a special anti-reflective surface, and any other are very close to the human. Even the size of the lens is very close to the human one. The human lens is about 10.5 millimeters wide, and the WL is 8.9, and I think it's the biggest lens which at the moment existed in the market. If you compare it with the standard aperture lens or the crystal lens, it's much bigger. So the characteristics of the lens is that the lens has continuous sharp edges, has a smooth gradual transition between the central and the peripheral optics, which means it has an aspheric hyperboloid optical system. It has a full disc configuration, and if you expect it, you have less optical complication and optimum visual quality. This is the optics of the lens, and as you see, we get a range instead of optical focuses here. You can see from this part of the lens, the rays are going through the system here. So the power is maximum here in the center of the lens. This is the top point here for the center, and going to the periphery, you're going to be back with the focus. The lens has also some additional feature. They say that it's a very soft and elastic material, which means the shape of the lens can change when this is under the pressure of the ciliary body. So when the ciliary body contracts, pressurize the lens in the periphery, and the lens changes a little shape inside the eye, which means the change also the optical properties of the lens. So up to the moment there have been several studies worldwide, and I would like to show you for the first close by I started now maybe in several centers, and they are still running investigational sites, new studies in Europe. But up to now, those are the four studies they've done research in this with this lens. Which if you see almost in all sides, the minimum effect for near vision was an effect of about 2 diopters, and this means that 2 diopters are corresponding to the accommodation range of natural crystalline lens in the age of 42 to 50 years old. So this is what's happened in our clinic here. We have 2 years follow-up, but there are some other clinics that have already very long follow-up, even up to 9 years. So as far as the safety here, you will see that none of the eyes lost any lines for the corrected distance to the acuity, and almost 88% of the patients, they gave 1 up to 3 lines here. When you see the corrected distance visual acuity and the uncorrected one, here you see that it is improving over the time, and it's a normal scale, of course, which is very normal. There's more on the numbers, that the high is the performance of the vision here, and you see that this fraction stabilizes after 1 month and remains stable. Now, when we look to the accurate near vision, we see that 70% of our patients, they have ZG2 or better in a very close distance, which is 33 centimeters here, which is the clue of this type of technology, because today we have many accommodative lenses, but in a very near performance, they don't do really very well. When we go to the moderate distance with 60 centimeters, still 70% they have ZG2 or better. That's means the lens provide you a very good near vision, very close to the middle distance by 72 to 80% of the patient. I show you here the video. The lens, although has a quite big size, is very easy to insert in the eye, in the normal cartridge here. The most important is, of course, to observe the placement of the lens, because it's mandatory not to put the lens upside down in the eye. Just to let you show in my first slides, the posterior part of the lens has much bigger curvature, which reflects. Where you see here on the side, you see this is the anterior, the other goes posterior part. So you have to put the lens in the right position. And this is something that somebody has to be careful when insert this lens cartridge. Otherwise, you see the material is easy to be folded in this cartridge, and you observe here that the capsule rexis right here is rounded, but the lower part of the rexis becomes a bit more central. I like to have a type of small envelope somehow in this type of capsule rexis, because you insert the lens inside the capsule, so we have to have a little capsule here in the anterior part to support the lower part of the lens. Because I don't put the lens 100% inside the capsule at the beginning, I leave the upper part out of the capsule, because it's very important to remove the helium behind the lens. You don't have to leave any helium on the back, because if you leave some helium on the back, when it is coming in the capsule, blocks in the back, and then I have a problem with this patient observed on our first case. Now you see, I'm going in the back of the lens. I remove first the helium from the back side of the lens, because as soon I'm showing the whole lens in the back, then I cannot do that. So after I remove the helium from the back side, then it's easy just to push the lens in the back this way, from the back side. Not a problem. Now, there are some criteria that are very important in order to avoid to have, let's say, not very good results. And one is, of course, if the patient has license at 1.25 diopters, you have to avoid to make surgery to this patient, or to correct the symptom, right? Any type of persistent history, take out of his candidates, amblyopia, and of course we have extremely shallow anterior chamber. You have to avoid to implant this less because they are very bad and fill the chamber. As I said, I would like to tell you some surgical tips here. So you have to make the capsule rexis not very big, so a little bigger than 5.9 millimeters, but not very big. Really. As I said, the lower part of the capsule rexis can be a bit more central. You can make an opening of 2.8 millimeters in order to insert the lens in the eye, so it will be a very big segment channel. So you have to identify the anterior and the posterior part of the lens. Very important, because if you put the lens upside down, then the optical effect here is not very good. And also, the most, let's say, curved back part of the lens is helping a lot, because it's pushing the capsule and doesn't allow to have any PCO. And PCO is an issue in any of this type of lenses. And this particular technology, the PCO, is very low because this part of the lens, the posterior part, pressurizes all the time the capsule, and we avoid the migration of the bacteria cells in the back of the capsule. So you have to remove the viscoelastics, I said, very precisely from the back of the lens. And I think here are some photos of the lens after the surgery. And here you have an OCT, and this particular OCT I like to show you a lens which has been placed upside down. You see here, it's even more baggy here than here. So I have to remove and change the position of the lens, but this is the normal position of the lens here. So this is the anterior membrane of the vitreous, and the lens is filled by 100% of the capsule in this case. So I like to show you some results because it's different to have patients, they say I'm happy with my near vision, and it's different to evaluate objectively the effect of the accommodation. Because in this technology, we know there's no way to evaluate objectively how much accommodation you have. We need type of lenses, like crystal lenses, like any type of this accommodative area. So we need the technology in which we can objectively evaluate really the effect of the accommodation. And ray tracing allows to do that. This is a technology was developed 15 years ago, comes from the missile defense technology from the Russians, and it's now developed in America. And of course, the eye tracing has many modalities, including the same system with the upper photometer, barometer, photometer, pupillometer, and keratometer. So, and you have several points, in this case 256 points to measure the wavefront, combined with the photon, of course. In this way, you have a total, let's say, information for the optical system of the eye, including the cornea aberration, including the internal aberration, and also including the total aberration. So if you have all this information, you can play a lot with the evaluation of the optics of the eye. And in this particular system, you can see through the surgery here on the back. That means the patient can see, has a tube in the middle, which means the patient can see through the center and read far. In that way, you can stimulate far, intermediate, and close vision, thus using normal tables, because the patient can see through the system the letters. And this makes sense because that way you can dynamically evaluate the accommodation. And I give you here some results how it looks like. This is a normal eye, which you see here that this is far, which is the side view of the wavefront, a refraction of this particular eye, and which is quite flat in this case here. And when this does accommodate, you see the shift of the overall, let's say, wavefront here by 2.5 diopters back here. So this myopic shift is the effect of the normal human lens, which is a little bit irregular, but this is quite regular when you see what's happening with the accommodative eye lens in this case. So here we have a differential map, and this differential map you have three very important information, because here you have, first of all, the accommodation volume, which is here about 1.5 diopters. You have the peak accommodation. That means you have the higher this accommodation can succeed in this case with by 3 diopters. And we have also the mean accommodation, which is close to the higher one in this particular case. But as I said, this is a normal subset here. Now, we've done a study for this WRL examining patients in our clinic. We have looked on this patient. And look here, let's have. This is a typical WRL patient. So you can see here, far, of course, has a much wider wavefront here profile. That means even in far, they have a multifocal system for the far vision. And near looks a little bit the same, but not precisely the same, because if you subtract for the far, for near, the far part, you see here the real accommodative effect in the system. So here you can read precisely what's happening with this lens. First, you see that this lens provides to you an accommodation volume, which is from here to here is about 3.7 diopters. No, the peak accommodation is 3.566. That means in the middle, this particular lens has a very good near vision, which proves that it's a multifocal system. And the mean accommodation overall is about 1 diopter. So we analyzed the results of this patient group, and we look on the peak accommodation, and you can see that in all cases, the peak accommodation was almost close to 2 diopters, probably if some are even higher. because of the cubic side. So this is supported, of course, by the polyfocality of the system, as I said before, and of course by the pupil size. So this is approved with trace observation. So small pupils means you are looking to the center. In the center, you have mostly here the peak accommodation, so you can see closer. That's why when you read close, the pupil is closed. So you have a system which has high accommodative values here, and when you see far, the system, the pupil increases, and you can see, of course, with this, let's say, multifocal form profile. So I like just to highlight here what's the difference between the peak, mean accommodation. So peak accommodation values show maximum optical power out. This is the myopia shift in a particular small area of the lens. The most this is in the center of the lens. The mean accommodation values show the average of the optical power out, which is the myopic shift in the whole area, the whole pupil. So this is give more to say the average of this optical power. The peak values are most important as they determine the image in the central retina. Accommodation volume is important as they measure the flexibility of the area, how wide is the accommodation that provides the system. The mean accommodation does not have too high value for the clinical point of view. So as you can see here, in this study case we've done the study, the average accommodation was minus 264. The average accommodative volume was 324. I mean the volume of the whole system. And the mean accommodation was by minus 0.084. So this is the information you can provide with his eye tracing, but you can also provide some more inside information if you go to analyze the images based on the high order aberration. So in the low order aberration, you have almost 100% effect on the accommodation. We can analyze the low order with the focus and astigmatism. You identify which one has the most effect on this near vision, let's say, effect. So the focus affects by 40% the accommodation effect of this particular lens, and the astigmatism affects the 65%. The high order aberration here, this is the low order, they have less effect, but still you have 7% which affected the high order, the whole refractive effect for near vision in the system. So again, low order, which is the focal astigmatism, they are most effective than near effect in the system. 40% are the focus, 65% is the astigmatism. Impressive that astigmatism affects so much the near eye. And this is the same results from the same group I showed you before. You can see all this analysis and therefore the focus, astigmatism, the high order aberration of how much affect each one of those patients in this case. In conclusion, I think that this technology can be considered as a very promising alternative solution for patients that they lead an active life and require good vision from near, intermediate and far. All the patients, they obtain some level of accommodation which remains stable through the follow-up period. As I said, we have more than 2 years follow-up period in our clinic. We have to make a careful patient selection, and in order to get satisfactory results, as I said, we have to avoid patients with high astigmatism, for example, and we can probably optimize the surgical technique in order to make this much more feasible. So, as I said, in contrast with the other accommodative IOLs, the nitrate measurement, the WRS proves that we have really an effect, an objective effect after this 3-year follow-up in our group. So, and these stimuli and changes, they are shown very similar characteristics as the accommodation in a natural crystalline lens. So we see the same type of changes in the natural lenses. And of course, you can use this microphone, and always, as I said, it's a hope to diopters in this case. I would like to thank you for the invitation here and to value the government Santorini in June in our meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.